Thanks, Survivor. So this comment is on a video about Romans 5:18, where the person who made the video was making an argument for what's called universalism, or the position that all people will be saved someday. That's an idea that I hope to be true, but unfortunately I don't think the Bible supports that idea. So let's look at the verse in question. Romans 5:18 says, "Therefore, as one trespass led to condemnation for all men, so one act of righteousness leads to justification and life for all men." And so if this justification and life are in fact for all men, then must be that all people are saved, right? Well, the trouble with that is a little thing that we call context. So if you read the previous verse, Romans 5:17, it says, "For if because of one man's trespass death reigned through that one man, much more will those who receive the abundance of grace and the free gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ." So who's going to reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ, in the end? It's those who receive the abundance of grace and the free gift of righteousness. So there's this intermediary step that's being overlooked here of receiving that abundance of grace. And how do we receive grace? Well, if you stay in the same chapter and just read the first verse of the chapter, Romans 5:1, Paul says, "Therefore, since we have been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ." So the mechanism by which this justification is received is by faith, or as everyone knows, saved by grace through faith apart from works of law. If you actually read all of Romans 2 through 5, it's very much a neatly structured argument as to why we are not saved by law and why we are saved by faith. It is impossible to honestly read Romans 2 through 5 and not come away with the conclusion that at least Paul thought that the mechanism by which one receives this justification is via their faith. And so necessarily, one who does not have that faith will not be saved. But I hear you ask, how can we possibly read that in Romans 5:18? Because if you just rip the verse out of context, then it does sound like all people are being saved. It says, leads to justification in life for all men. Well, there's a couple of points to that. First, when you lead someone to something, that does not necessarily mean that they receive the thing. It just means they're giving the opportunity to receive the thing. And second, it's very normal for us to use universal language, like all men, when we don't actually mean something universally. We just mean it either near universally or in very large numbers. And throughout the rest of Romans 5:12 through the end of chapter 12 through 21, Paul uses this phrase hoi polloi. I'm bad at pronouncing Greek, but you get the idea, which basically means the many or the great multitude. In any case, often when we use something that sounds universal like that in a context where every other use was just saying a lot of people, we mean a lot of people, or we mean it was available to everyone. So an example of this would be when Oprah says, you get a car, everybody gets a car. We all know that video, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that every person in the room actually got a car. Because if a person in the room declined to receive the car, we would not call Oprah a liar. We would say she offered a car to everyone, she tried to give everyone a car, and some people declined the car. In the same way, here, the gift of justification, the gift of righteousness, the gift of salvation is offered to us by Christ, but the mechanism by which we receive it, as Paul says in verse 1, is justified by faith. So thank you very much again, Survivor. You said this much more succinctly than I did, but I hope you all have a great day. God bless.